सलाम मेरे अजीज पंखों।
Wha- What happened? Are you hurt? Sana could not help but ask as she saw him crying out in pain. His arms were wrapped around him. Sana could not see they properly as their back was facing her and they were sitting on the ground, clenching him. They turned to her with so much difficulty, and his body to the rug breathed Sana feet. There in front of her was a large stomach, the clenched stomach, and cried. Please, help me, Sana. They cried out. Sana stood there, stunned. She didn't know what to do. She looked at their face. Jungkook's child. She asked thought she knew about, but hoped they said otherwise. They just nodded and cried out in pain again. Everything started roaming in her front of his eyes as she started at Taehyung's stomach. Jungkook betrayal, his lies, are standing in front of her. Him choosing their over her and their child. The blocked stomach was the proof of them sleeping behind her back, everything's coming in front of her eyes. And more painful was the reality that Jungkook and Taehyung love symbol was going to come into this world, whereas she lost their child. Shana took a step away from Tae. She looked at Tae and her jaw clenched, face hardness. Sana could never be a mother of Jungkook's child, and Tae giving him that made her see only negative things. She got of Tae. She was terrified that Jungkook might leave her after getting Tae and his child. She was scared and was not thinking straight. Please help me. The unpleaded voice bringing her back. Sana shook her head. No, I can't. Jungkook will leave me for you. She stepped back and turned her back toward him. No, Sana, please. Save my child. Please don't punish them for my mistake. Sana on her place and turned to Thea again. It's twins. Please save them. Sana could not see anything. As tear blurred her vision, she shook her head. She was only see Thea and his child bringing threats to her. She could not be a mother, and they fulfilled his huge desire of Jungkook, made her insecure. She was afraid that Thea and his child will snatch everything for her, whichever was left for her. She turned around and walked toward his car. Sitting inside the car, she ordered the drive. Let's go. And the driver started the car. Ninth month ago, I didn't realize how and when I reached, as I was hardly in my sense. After leaving that house, I, when someone informed me I have reached, I got off the train, and when I called the only person I know will help me, Yoongi-hyun. I told him like, more like, threatened him not to say anything to Jungkook, or else I will go away from here. He agreed, and then he came to get me from the station. I was sitting on the bench, lost in my thought, when I heard his panicked voice. Brother-in-law, he called me. I looked up and found him standing in front of me, with pain in his eyes and the dumb broken as tears start falling on my eyes. I lowered my head down. He rushed toward me, and I could not help putting my head on his chest and cried my heart out. He didn't ask anything, just stood there and placed his hand on his head. Like a big brother he was for me. You are with your brother now. And those words make me cry in relief that I didn't make a mistake by coming him. He took me to his home, where his mother and Jimin was present. He introduced us. They didn't bother me, and Young Yang took me to the guest room and sent me the food. The day and the night when I was in the room, and the next day I woke up with a knock on the door. His mother come along with Young Yang, husband Jimin. They smiled warmly and placed the breakfast tray in front of me. I stared at them, not knowing how to react. Jungkook is my son to me, and you're his wife, which means my son-in-law. So don't feel hesitate to ask anything you want, or if you want it all. I and my children are always present. I felt my eyes drink with a heavy emotion. I felt overwhelmed by her motherly behavior. She placed her hand on my cheeks and wiped my tears. Take care, son. We will talk whenever you feel like it. Now, have this breakfast. And then they engaged me a small talk. I got to know about his husband, whose name was Jimin. He was 25 years old and owned a restaurant. Later that day, Hyung came to my room and sat on the sofa, staring at me, waiting for me to say something. And I did. I told him everything. A week passed and tried to cooperate with the situation. Young Hyung family was very good. They never made me feel out of the place. I was having my lunch with them with small talk when suddenly I stood up and ran to the bathroom, following by everyone. I thought, and feeling suddenly out of energy. When I walked out of the room, I found Young Hyung and his mother, and Jimin standing there waiting for me. As Hyung saw, he rushed toward me. Are you okay? What happened? His face blurred. Before my head fell on his chest, I fainted. I should not be shocked to hearing that my life was never going to be easy for me after everything I have gone through. But still, I was shocked to find out that I was. I was shocked, numb, and scared. I felt like house only for Jungkook not to lose his unborn child, and that child should not lose its father. But this is exactly what happened with me. My child will not be his father. Jungkook was always be unaware of our. I started cried out loud when everything sank in. Hyung sat beside me and pulled me in a hug. I cried out on his shoulder, my baby. I was crying then. I felt was crying for something happened to Jungkook, and mine love symbol was going to come into this world. I was always with him. After some time, I calmed down and pulled back and wiped my face. You should inform him, he said, making my eyes winded. No, I can't. I shook my head. Is it deserved to know? It's his right to know about his child. He will be so happy, Taehyung, he said with a smile on his face. I can see he was happy and wanted his best friend to know about it. No, if I told them, it will come. As if I did all this on purpose. I know Cook will never be unfair to us, but if I go into their life again with the baby, then I will be unfair to both of them. Sana will never accept me. Let me alone, my child. And then Jungkook will always to be torn between us. So it's better if I let him live, and I am be happy that God gave me a reason to live too. I chuckled and wiped the tears away from my face. I was happy, and he's going to be the father of Sana's child. He will learn to live without me. He has hope. Young didn't look convinced. Then I gave him a threat that I will leave from here if he say anything to Jungkook, and he had to agree. After a couple of weeks later, I started going to the restaurant with Jimmy Hyung. Once he took all of us there to clear my mind and for me to have something in the restaurant for the first time. And when I tasted the dessert in the restaurant, I could not help but pointed out a lack of few things in it. And Yoongi Han told me that I'm the best baker and cook. I just laugh and brush off. After a couple of days, Jimin come to me and offer me the job in his restaurant only if I wanted. I already told Hyung and Jimin Hyung that I want to be independent, so that why he offered me a job. So yeah, now I am the chef of the dessert department in her restaurant. So many likes my baker and dessert. He ever started to have huge orders of cake and dessert, which led to me. I worked with all the and baking was always my passion. When I was 5 months, I told them that I want to rent a house for myself and wanted to be independent for my child. That's all I received. And Jimin was got angry, but I make him understand that it was needed for me. I need to how to be independent. He was but agreed and rent an apartment closer by. When I was 7, I got to know about Jungkook being hospitalized that day. I was in Yoongi Hyung's house for dinner and I got to know that I want to meet him and accidentally left my ring there. Yes, Hyung, I had my dinner. I said through the call, okay, but call me or Jimin if you need anything and don't forget what mom said to you. If you ever feel the slight pain or then you will inform us immediately, without delay, even if it's midnight.